Greetings, good morning. This is Daphne Garrido. Welcome to Of Darkness and Light. I am here live on my living room floor in front of a PlayStation 3 collection and a Marshall speaker and a PlayStation 3 and a television. And I'm pretty much out of everything else, but I have money to survive. So we're living, dude. We're living. I'm making a plan to make unemployment money enough to survive. I am somebody who has schizophrenia, and that means that even though I'm a badass who it doesn't really bother anymore, I'm dealing with all these waves and inner perceptions of what they are that kind of like run in a little creative space sometimes, and I use those to do some Sherlocking that is often wrong, but it's kind of a modern shamanism, right? And I'm healing and scaring people, and it's good news. It's fun. Whooshy sounder trains are going by, but I want to talk about executive dysfunction again a little bit now that I'm feeling more understood on it. There's conflation that happens between schizophrenic executive dysfunction and an executive dysfunction that everybody has. It's called spite. It's called body spite. It's about spite of your intelligence. Excuse me. But we have automatic responses of spite that we have to learn to master or take into new directions that are more healthy. But the problem is that every response we could make to that is different than what we would have done naturally. Unless we act in pure spite of our body spite and we listen to something, and I believe it's the heart. I believe when you're thinking about what you want to do and you're choosing between things to choose from, for what your next step is in your day, what your next choice is in your life, you listen to the song of your heart. You listen to its ring and you feel into the energy of its energy. And it's like, is this singing in a way that I want to draw into my life? Or is this bellowing in a way that is foretelling a mistaken path? And that's how I've chosen to live as a person who is navigating schizophrenia from the inside out without help, without any single person to be like, hey, we really need to get you to a psychiatrist who can talk with you on your level and get you officially diagnosed. Like, there's so many people who knew I was schizophrenic, who knew I was highly delusional, who I was telling all of my bullshit to, like at work, like, and they're probably sitting back like, that person lost their mind, and they won't, like, I've asked for donations from people from my old job, they won't do it. Nobody will pass around my thing, or nobody cares, or everybody's just too tight for money to have a shit to give. But I can't understand how my psychiatry, my community, my work situation, all of it is completely disregarding of my need to be like, given an honest reflection when I'm monologuing about all of the crazy shit going on with me. To be like, I think you really need help, and I think I want to help you get help because it seems like you're not getting the right help you need by yourself. And I'm kind of grateful for that because it has allowed me to fight in an interesting way. And so I still have gratitude for life, always. That's how I live in such dichotomies of extreme joyousness while I'm going through what people still don't seem to understand is like the highest torture imaginable. I've lost my daughter. I don't get to see her. I saw her every other day. She was my reason to live. She is my reason to live. She is always going to be my reason to live. There's cognitive dissonance in me because it's too sad. It's too sad. And that's a huge part of what has manifested into the spite portion of what we call executive dysfunction. And that's what's going on is there is what we'll call executive dysfunction. And then there is schizophrenic brain damage. And people who have that have everything that everybody has, including addiction, including executive dysfunction. And that's what's going on, is there's an additional definition of executive dysfunction and a little bit of a change when it goes to schizophrenia. And it's that the executive dysfunction spite is sometimes completely like Tourette's-like in how it jumps out of you. And you're like, oh, wow, yeah, that's like a really conscious Tourette's where I chose the words and I was laughing about them, but then I'm stuck inside being like, this is awful. This is awful. Or you're torturing yourself because you're like, this is the dirtiest thing I've ever written, ever. And I love it. And it's disgusting. And I'm just going to say it. I'm like, okay. Okay. It's just like it comes out of me like an uncontrollable thing. And that's like, I've mythologized, not properly in my writing, but the way that I have asked for help from my mother over and over again, trying to break down that I'm schizophrenic and I'm like constantly getting on the verge of homelessness and not really able to take care of myself and not able to get help for the way that I need, like a single friend to like help me feel better about navigating all this alone. Because that's creating the executive dysfunction that is body spite that everybody has, and everybody else would be able to go in and get help and just hate people. But my schizophrenia includes schizophrenic brain damage, and it makes these things worse. It makes my addictive cycles like impossible to break, until there's some sort of like replacement to balance it in help. Like there's nothing I would like more than to just go on a vacation, dude. I want to go on a vacation. I feel from what I've gone through that I deserve a vacation that never ends because I'm a disabled person who's been fighting through hell. And I teach from within it always, and I will continue to because I am a teacher. And I don't believe in hierarchy, and I believe in transcending imposter syndrome. And I've basically done it. I don't know what I wouldn't feel confident doing or saying if I felt like it from my heart. I can't imagine anything. I sent text messages to all of Donald Trump's and Melania Trump's phone numbers with my Mary and Jesus story. So it's like, what if this dude got hit with a story that he read or she read or somebody on their team read and passed up the line because it felt good. And it was a crazy training, dude. What would that do? Bust the fool's heart open, make him start changing from the inside out. I did it weeks and weeks ago. I don't know, like a couple months ago. Maybe not even quite. I don't know. Timelines are really hard for me. That's the thing. That is a part of containing thought that is in a blank space. So I have stretched my mind from the inside out, holding the Penrose step situation of the truth of schizophrenia, which is I feel things that I cannot know if they are true or false or in between, and I believe that there are things that are true mixed in with all of the projections from my trauma and subconscious, which come from my body intelligence. I believe that I feel my own heart in my heart in the future sometimes. That I listen to music and it goes back and forward. It draws me into emotional memory that is not only going back, but goes forward. I believe that. I don't know that's real. I might be wrong about the forward. It might only be back. It might just be an emotional memory going back. That's something that feels kind of right to me from my body. And so, hey, I think I can take that and roll with it as my new hypothesis that feels of more rightness. But I still cannot prove that I don't feel things forward, because there are times where it's been, yes. Suspended in GAFA was a forward situation. I heard Suspended in GAFA when I was standing in a crepe shop that I worked at on the radio, like KEXP, and I was like puking my guts out from my heart while I was doing work, hearing it on a radio in the corner that was playing it, and I had never heard that tune before. And I went home and I listened to it, and I cried. I cried like a little girl, and I didn't understand. I literally didn't understand. Consciously didn't understand. I listened to it over and over again. I was like, this is beautiful, but I do not understand how these lyrics mean anything to me. But I was always a filmmaker person, and I wanted to put it into something that had some kind of like montage. I was like, this is something really, really pretty to my heart. I believe it is a conclusion that I write to the Ini and Ui saga that ends at a tragic carnival where Ui leaves Ini or dies, or she's killed or arrested or whatever. They're separated, and it's his choice to do it for himself at the end, after she's given him everything and they've stuck together the whole time, and she's never once acknowledged that Ui's an abuser, but she still loves him, and it's both. And then he betrays her right at the end, and then she finally cries. And it's like him walking away again breaks her back from the way she's broken when the door slams in her face. And she basically becomes my broken Harley Quinn for this psycho criminal person that you barely even hear about in the first short story that will be a part of its compilation. But that's what I'm saying. I felt that shit from Suspended in GAFA. First time I ever heard it, blaring out of my heart, forward in time. So it works both ways. Emotional memory, I believe, works both ways. I believe that deeply. I think I've proven that to myself right now. I think I know That's how you get past imposter syndrome and become a genius. Is you know the stuff you know, from what you should trust, from what you do trust. And you don't let people's outside opinions of how things need to be proven in some weird kind of like science, math, fact only to figure out that the half of the puzzle we don't use is right here. That's your heart if you're listening. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I'm talking about self curses. I just pointed at my heart, and I'm a little dehydrated this morning. I've been writing a story that I'm in love with more than anybody. Kind of. It's about Lady Lethal. So we were telling a story about schizophrenia. I'm pretty much done with it. And so I'm just going to wrap up here really quickly and say, holding that possibility, right? Having to deal with all of these feelings. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about how I truly believe I feel people's waves coming at me. If somebody's really thinking about me and their heart's exploding, and they're feeling like a little girl who's in love, I feel that, and it doesn't feel like it's for me at all. And I have to also consider the fact that that might be a complete projection of my subconscious that knows what I have done, that knows what I think other people might respond like, that runs a delayed, controlled entirely by my subconscious simulation, because consciously I can acknowledge that I would want to feel that, of what someone else will feel or does feel when they do something that I have initiated by sending things out into the world. But the way that it's so uncontrolled continues to throw a wrench in that calculation, where I'm like, whoa. It's never the same. It's all out of place. So this is what's up. I have a plethora of bullshit that I feel and understand as like forward and back emotions in my heart, having all of these genuine creative projections that get mutilated by my trauma to look like something else, where I'm like, hey dude, it's Mary. Like, that bitch just traumatized me on such a surface level and made it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse forever, and just decided to go to hell with it. And so it just wrecked me, because they're also a person that I'll never not forgive, dude. And that's the thing, is like, people should not apologize, but people should forgive people, and people should not have ego issues when you're forgiven for something you never apologized for, because it's nice, because you shouldn't have to, it's kind, dude. You shouldn't apologize, because it's just for yourself. Apologies are bullshit when you don't really mean them, when they're not the most important. I have a Penrose step situation going on in my everyday life experiences that I have chosen to hold in truth, rather than taking medication and just being like, none of this is real. The book told me none of it's real. Christian Empire, they burnt all the witches, and they decided that schizophrenic people are not oracles, we're not shaman, we are not sirens, we are not priestesses, we are vermin. We are worthy of genocide. And so I said no to that. And that's a pretty smart thing to do, and it's a pretty challenging fight to fight when you're living in a world of complete propaganda against the truth of spirit. And it's just like, dude, you are math. You're math, dude. That's why I hate math. I like people that like math. I like people that are good at math because I like math buddies. But that's the thing is I need help of community, of family. I need help of friends. I don't need to be institutionalized. I need to be lifted up because I am someone that can help other people, and I know that. And I don't have imposter syndrome about that anymore. So, help a Jesus, tranny, right? Like, we're just gonna say it like it is, dude. I know what the fuck I am, and it's not that there are so many. Let me tell you a Jesus. His name's Muji, dude. His name's Muji, Mooji. That's a living Jesus. There's a bunch of them, and that's just one of them. They're, it's just like that's what it is, dude. It's like get right with your whole body. His is so different from mine. It's like that's not true. I'll get there one day. I'm walking a path towards living like Mooji on YouTube. But right now, I'm in a chaotic unbecoming of my mind until I'm still. And I need to be taken care of. But a trans woman, Muji, in America, who is burning their way there like Icarus, who flew too high. It's pretty hot, especially since I'm not gonna like dive into the sea. I'm going to repair my wings on the fall, and then you know, whoever they are, I'm just gonna go find my soulmate. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's my mission plan, and I hope you all have a good day. And please help me if you love me. I'm not accepting help from people who aren't smart cookies who I love that want to just like be brave and come help a genius who's hot for everybody. Oh, like that. Like, oh God, I'm so hot for everybody that's hot with their brain. And then they hate me because I'm such a dummy. Such a dumb gene.